there was a game called Rakion. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, ever played it. It was a battle arena where you could pick a swordsman, a blacksmith, a mage, an assassin, or an archer, and you just battled it out. There was some like hold the point, kill the enemy golem, which is like capture the flag almost. Um, and it was beautiful. I played it for like a solid year, and I played like 6 hours a day. I was 19th on the server. I was like, this is the greatest game ever. And then they're like, oh, we're coming out of beta. We're gonna go into main, and now you can spend money on the game. And I was like, why would I do that? I'm everything's fine. Well, the best thing you could get for free was a Minotaur summon. After you did X amount of damage, you could summon a pet. And I was an archer, and I summoned a Minotaur. And it would sit in front of me and it would protect me. Awesome. The first bonus for paying for the game, like $5, was a dragon. Minotaurs can't fight dragons; they're in the fucking air.
That
And
just
it
reminds
was
me. Oh God, that's terrible. That's
yeah.
like,
So it crushed it. I will never play a game where you can pay for power.
yeah,
Just
and
bottom line.
it was a struggle. When you're younger, you like don't realize that how like dirty it is, like the pay to win tactics. But in Neverwinter, the game that I'd spent thousands of hours in, and unfortunately hundreds of dollars,
No.
it loots you in. There was so many levels of pay to win that it was ridiculous. There were companions, and the companions that you get were like that's a big part of your power. So you wanted to get the best companion, and like some of the better ones can cost like $30 or something. And then there's like weapon and armor slots on the companions, and those were a big part of the companion's power. So you can either spend money on those or grind them out or whatever. And then the armor slots had enchantments in them, and they had like 3 enchantments apiece, and they went up to level 14 or whatever. Um, and like the grind past level 7 for those enchantments was ridiculous. So for one companion, if you had to like, if you were just starting from scratch and wanted to spend money, I think it would be like $1,000 or something ridiculous to get that
Oh,
companions, like like to be the best that it could be by not playing at all, just by like,
that's rent money.
yeah, that's like, and I don't know how
No,
big the whales are in that game, but like people were spending. You would see people
whales,
in
man.
like the terrible PvP or the terrible end raids, um, with like completely decked out everything. Um, yeah, it was that was
I don't
a
I don't know if
struggle.
I can tell you this story. I'm trying to think about. I probably shouldn't tell you the story. So I'll tell you like Chinese culture is very different about pay to play.
Mhm.
And there was a gentleman I was talking to that said that my game was flawed because it was free to play.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Cool, so you're a whale." And he's like, "I am not. I work a factory job for 60 hours a week. I don't have time to play as much as the other people that are playing at home with other jobs. So I need to be able to spend my resources that I earn to catch up to them." And I was just like mind explosion. Like it's not going to convince me to make a pay to play option, but I can understand why you're
Mhm.
at a disadvantage. Not everyone is. My life, I wouldn't even say was like super luxurious. I was an orphan in East Atlanta. You know the South, not the greatest place to be. Um, Still, I was able to play video games. I know a lot of people that weren't able to. So even that is like an advantage. Like, oh no, you can't do pay to play. And I'm like, well, what about the new players that have never played League of Legends before? I can see why someone would be like, why can't I pay for 10% power to catch up? So I am more empathetic towards it. I would never put it into a game I worked on.
Yeah.
But I can understand it 100%. Not the $1,000 for companions, but I can understand a little bit.
I think that these games, those types of games, fall into a vicious cycle, where they allow pay to win materials for whatever reason, whether it's to
Mhm.
balance the game for people who don't have as much time or just because they want more money. Who's to say? They put in pay to win tactics, and that encourages people to pay to win. And in that situation, it drives out people who may not be able to pay, or maybe people pay as much because they feel like they're being excluded because they don't have money to spend on the game. Where then to be better at the game, you have to spend more money now because the only people who are left are people who are spending money, and the cycle
Right.
it gets put into this vicious cycle because the developers are seeing the player base shrink, but the profits like stay either consistent, and they say we have to put in more tactics just to keep our company alive because our player base is so small now, but they're still paying money. So the
Yeah.
more that you can milk those very, very small percentage of people for whatever amount of money they're willing to spend, like the smaller the player base can get. And I think I've seen that a lot with games like there's a mech warrior game right now that's very, very niche, and
Okay.
it's got people who have been playing this game for
Right.
like
Is it
for an
is it
iteration of this
Titanfall?
game. No. It's literally Mech Warrior, like Mech, the
Oh,
brand
okay.
Mech Warrior. Um,
Okay, okay.
and I watched a video about it. It was like a 50-minute video about this guy who's been playing for hundreds of hours or whatever, and he was just really distraught because the game had implemented some sort of pay to win thing in the game, and he was like, all my friends who have been playing this game for so long, now all their progress has been invalidated because of this whatever
Mm,
aspect. Um, and the developers like came out and said like, hey, we can't keep this game alive with this small of a player base without this. And that's just like, do you want your
yeah.
game to be alive, or do you want it to be like how you like it? Because there's only 1,000 people playing this game at max, something has to be done to keep the servers,
I got
just to keep servers alive.
I got mad respect for the developer to come out and say that,
Yeah.
because that is not going to make you friends, but it is the honest truth of like why things, why does Riot have to ship a Lux skin every year? And we're like Riot's not in trouble of we're not in money problems. Our game is not shrinking. It's not that, but it's like, hey, we are cognizant that we have to make money. Like that is how the game gets made. It's a free to play game. So if people want to buy Lux skins, we will continue to give them Lux skins.
Yeah.
Um, and it gets really hard telling a player. Like I have friends that main champions that aren't as popular, and it sucks. Be like, hey, I know you haven't had a skin for a while. So like,
I,
sorry. Like,
I think Larry said something about he didn't mention specifically what the champion was, but he said something like this champion hadn't had a skin for however many years, and he's like,
yeah,
it's just because nobody plays them. Like they have like 3,000 mains or something like that.
right.
Um,
It's just so hard, and it
yeah,
feels bad because I want everyone to have Christmas every day. I want your champion to be 55% win rate. Like I get that. Like I want you to feel supported, loved on every character, but there are some characters that can't.